This appealing patina lurks in the finish of Sugimori's concept drawings for Pulseman and in the primary generation of Pokemon. Specifically, the designs consist of a black inked outline into which colour is added with either watercolour or an acrylic ink wash. Sugimori is careful to allow for variance in the tone, with areas of white in the primary generation drawings depicting subtle highlights. While the colour is finely textured, his approach means that they are not overly rich, which creates a patina that is very attractive to the eye. Existing only as illustration for the game and for the Pokemon cards, Sugimori's process is not compromised, but maintained through to publication. And in this respect, Sugimori's original designs and concept drawings are at odds with the animated and merchandise-based manifestations of Pokemon, which rely on their shiny bright surface to signify newness and compete for consumer attention. This is a really important point about the Neo-Baroque, where you've got contemporary theories of convergence coming from people like Henry Jenkins and the Neo-Baroque. The problem with Henry Jenkins' thesis is it tends to erase contradiction between objects within a franchise. So the film, the game, it says we've got a Cartesian controller schematizing the arrangement of these objects within a franchise, and it's a clean process. What I'm saying is the real Neo-Baroque element is that you have a constellation of texts within a franchise, but they can be willfully contradictory, and that the contradiction is hugely positive for the franchise because it gives the consumer something to niggle with and play with. It's like it really cuts to the core of when Sontag makes the link between camp and the Baroque, in the sense that there's something about, in its quality, that vulnerability in its quality, which is kind of a feast for the eye, a feast for the mind. Okay, so what I'm going to do is move on to a concept. I appreciate that. I've got to get through this. So one of the qualities within the Japanese Baroque, within the Rikyu, okay, is this concept of heta uma. Okay, and what heta uma means is bad good. Okay, and heta uma comes from a Japanese contemporary artist from the 70s called King Terry, who basically argued that there are essentially 4 types of art. The first heta uma is bad good. It's a high level of artistic achievement required by great practice. Uma uma, good good, is truly amazing professional artwork that can astound everyone, you know, the best stuff. But then you have heta heta, bad bad, work that thinks it's art but just totally isn't. But then you have uma heta, good bad, which is someone trying to be really good, but I guess like mannerist artworks would kind of fall into that. Like the professional whose technique is good but whose work lacks life, no soul. Okay? So Rikyu, the Japanese Baroque, incorporates all these different categories. Okay? And so you have the heta uma. It's this notion of the drawing which is bad, but there's something about its articulation which is good. There's something inherently about the image that's working. Okay? Here's a heta uma drawing that King Terry produced in the 70s. It says, guide. It's a guide to recognizing when someone has a 3rd-degree burn. Okay, and basically it's like it plays with this notion of functionality in drawing. So like this is an image which you know, like it's kind of has this pretension of being a medical image, but is a dumb drawing, and it's essentially pastiching the functionality of images and recognizing that all imagery, even if they have a pretension of functionality, have some inherent decorative quality. Okay. Here's some other heta uma stuff. It's a drawing of Jesus after he's been resurrected, and it says "going for gold" on the side there. This is another heta uma. That's King Terry again. This is who I want to talk about. Okay, this is Mr. Mime. He's one of the Pokemon from the original 151 series. Okay. So. One important juncture exists between the humour and idiosyncratic emotion of the character designs in the artistic process. Sugimori comments that, quote, many of the Pokemon characters first became loved because they were funny, That's why many people have supported it, and I'm sure that younger people will still support the Pokemon because it's funny. While Sugimori's designs are accepted as some of the finest character design in games art to date, and the design council in Germany gave him like this, they made him like a member of this, you know, top design council. Like they identified that the original drawings they did were, in design terms, like legendary, which I thought was amazing. While Sugimori's designs have been officially accepted as some of the finest character design in games art to date, there are a number of peculiar ones which lead Cat Bailey to recently compile a list of the, quote, top 5 lamest Pokemon. At the top of the lame list is one of the primary generation, Mr. Mime. It's this guy here. Pokemon number 122. Bailey writes that, quote, Mr. Mime makes you shake your head and question what reality we actually inhabit. Surely a proto-human clown mime Pokemon doesn't arise in any ordinary universe.
Thank God.
Nintendo's official website describes Mr. Mime as, quote, a pantomime expert that can create invisible but solid walls using mime gestures. So designs by Sugimori, such as Mr. Mime, evoke a complex rhetorical reaction for what they are and how they are depicted. We can see the skill in their construction after overcoming the immediate weirdness of their design. This response recalls King Terry's Heta Uma movement or concept. Okay, so Heta Uma aesthetics are premised on Terry's observation that everyone starts as a bad artist and tries to become good. But simply becoming good is not enough. Artists who try too hard to become good begin to emphasize technique over soul, and then the life goes out of their drawings. Their spirit fails to keep up with their technique, and so their Rikyū fails. Okay? So there's this complex usage of the notion of Rikyū in a Japanese context. And so in the culture of Pokemon, the iconicity of Sugimori's designs for Pokemon, such as Pikachu, Bulbasaur, and Charmander, which you will have seen everywhere, elevate them to a point beyond criticism. In characters like Mr. Mime and Jinx was a drag queen Pokemon, I suggest that Sugimori draws upon the surreal humour of Heta Uma, in concert with his illustration technique, which has this patina quality that Tanizaki talks about, to create designs which oscillate between the poles of good and bad, and which, under closer inspection, reveal a complex genius at work. Okay, I'm a bit gushy about Sugimori.